Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 256, and today we're doing Battle in the Rising Tides Gauntlet. And so today we just have a handful of decks. I'm wanting to test out some different decks before we really kind of try and dive in to the concept I put forth in the previous video, to where we're looking to just play a Lee Sin OTK deck that has like a really super polarized strong matchup against a couple of sets of decks, and then kind of a 50-50 good decks matchup for the other two. And so if we could kind of find ourselves in this spot to where the opponent just doesn't bring Freylord, and then we get to bring in the Lee Sin deck against something like Deep or Swain, I'm pretty kind of interested and excited about that concept. But I haven't really fully fleshed out everything I want to bring to that, so we'll save that for another day. And today that we're just going to play some decks that I think are good and may also kind of fit the bill as that kind of mid-rangey kind of good against everything, bad against nothing style of deck. And so to bring up the decks today, we're going to be playing Ash Katarina. No real additions to this deck from the addition of the Rising Tides. Noxus and Freylord didn't get a ton of the 5-attack matters stuff, right? The only real kind of decent Freylord card out of this set was really just Sejuani and then the Plunder draw a card kind of thing. And so not a ton of real strength here. But in terms of the Ash Katarina, the card I did want to call out about our edition here is going to be the Ruthless Raider. I think this was a new one in the new set. I don't quite remember. But we've always had this kind of problem in the 2-drop space to where we need something just to put on the board. And I don't like playing House Spider in this deck. I don't think it's particularly good or strong. It doesn't synergize with everything else that we're doing. But I do like the idea of Ruthless Raider, given that he has Overwhelm. It gives us kind of a nice plan B between the Ruthless Raider and the Ancient Yetis as a means to push in some overwhelm damage in the event that we aren't just OTKing with Ash. And so I think from our previous set, we were playing a lot of Ash Katarina, but we weren't playing the Trifarian Assessor. I have gone ahead and added it in here as well, just to give us a little bit of card draw. The games now feel like they're not so much just slower. You're definitely playing against like the Nivea decks in the previous format. It's just the decks don't power spike until a couple of turns later, is what I think makes it sound a bit more correct in terms of your opponent wants to play the Leviathan into Swain, or your opponent wants to play the deep deck. It doesn't activate until turn 7 or turn 8 or so, as to where if your opponent was just playing a Nivea on turn 6, then they're able to blow up your board pretty fast. And so I think that we have a little bit more time to do some card draw here with the Assessor. So deck number 2, we are adding in Vi, right? Vi is a new addition from the Rising Tides. She fits kind of interestingly in these decks in the kind of current landscape of things. We do see Vi running around in a variety of aggro decks, just because if you give her Overwhelm, then she can do a shitload of damage. And so if you have a Vi running around with 8 attack, and then you just play Might on her, then she's going to be this challenging 11 attack unit, very strong at closing out games. Now, I'm not entirely convinced that Vi belongs in a deck like this, or that our numbers on the champions here are correct with the 1 Draven, 3 Jinx, and 2 Vi. Back in the day when Jinx wasn't quite as good, it would make a lot more sense to bring in all of these Vi's, but now that she's been weakened, or now that Jinx has been strengthened, I think she's still just one of the best cards in the game, and something like Vi isn't quite as necessary. But if we do go and look over at decks like Draven Scion in the modern era of the game, those can very easily fit Vi in. And she does a lot of the same thing, as to where she comes down a little bit faster than Scion. She can be interactive if you need her to, so she can come down and challenge down some kind of problematic unit, and then she still has that ability to just go big for 8 damage or so. And so I think she still potentially has a place here. But to kind of help mingle with these numbers a little bit, we are playing a couple of copies of Draven's Biggest Fan. Draven, I do think, is still fairly important in a deck like this, and so if we're able to drop him on the 3rd turn with a little bit more consistency, I think I'm okay to go with it. And since we are playing a lot of cycle between things like Rummage, Zonite Urchin, and Sump Dredger, if we draw the the biggest fan in the mid game. We can just kind of cycle it away and not have to worry about it anymore. In terms of the other new cards to this deck, we do have the kind of enhanced burn package with Nox and Fervor. I do like including it in a deck like this, since you do see a lot of lifesteal based units out of the deep decks, and so you don't really want to be spending your burn spells on that 3/2 lifesteal unit. And so if you can just get your big full on aggro attack in, sacrifice the unit to get blocks away, and send the 3 damage to face, then it has a very real shot of doing a big 9 or 10 point life swing if your opponent was expecting to get that life steal in. And so that is the Jinx Draven deck. This last one is going to be the sweet one. This is going to be the cool one. We're playing Sejuani Fizz, and this is looking to take advantage of both Mind Meld and Battle Fury, along with the elusives coming out of Bilgewater. And so I worry a little bit about this deck in terms of we might be half-assing it a little bit, right? We do have the Sejuani Gangplank level up package to where we're playing Warning Shots, Make It Rains, and Parlays. We are trying to tie those in with having them be activators for plunder, so that we can use our black market merchants and Yordle grifters, and then they also activate Fizz, and they activate the Sejuani level up, but it might be too much to also be including the Mind Meld. But we're going to get some really sweet plays in here. In some of these games, we have a small elusives package between Fizz, the Prowling Cutthroat, Zap, and then the Slippery Wave Riders. We have a total of 12 elusives. If we can have just 2 or 3 on the board whenever we play a Mind Meld, that should be enough to close out the game. But if we do need to punch in that last bit of damage, we also have the Battle Furies in. And so it's not unrealistic to suspect that we can't deal like 3 or 4 damage from cards like Warning Shot, get in a couple of chip hits from something like Fizz, and then hit an opponent for 12 elusive with the Battle Fury. And so it gives us a bit of a different angle of attack. This is another deck as to where when we were talking about Lee Sin at the beginning of the video, there's some decks that just don't interact with this kind of strategy very well, and that's what gets me kind of interested as we're playing the 3-deck pick and ban, but only a best of 1, is if we bring these like really polarized decks. The deck, I readily admit this deck's going to get murdered by a lot of the field, but there should just be like 2 or 3 decks that this is really good against, and if we can spike one of those lineups, it should just be a fantastically strong matchup. And so I'm not entirely certain what we want to play with this. I just thought it was going to be fun to play Mind Meld today, but this is a deck that strikes me as being pretty reasonable against something like Deep. In the sense that if your opponent's only answer to Fizz is going to be something like Vengeance or a Withering Wail, then there's a pretty decent chance that they're not going to be able to handle a Battle Fury Fizz. And so I'm kind of interested to see how that plays out. Same thing kind of applies to decks like Swain. Swain just doesn't have a very strong interactivity package, and so Twisted Fate Swain shouldn't be that strong at dealing with something like a Battle Fury Fizz. And so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm interested. I hope you're interested too, because that's what we're going to be doing battle with. And so check the pay-to-win price. We only have 2 cards that aren't premium. We got the Reckoning and we got the Mind Meld. I'm not too worried about turning the Epics premium, and so we should be good to go. Everything else certainly is. Okay, off to battle. We got to get this Mind Meld deck in first. Nobody's going to ban it, right? Fizz Sejuani just ready to go. I'm excited for that one. It's going to be pretty sweet. But see what turns up. Got our pool party skins out here and ready. Got all of our... It's so nice. It's like you can see the decks that we play a lot of as us going through the Jinx Draven deck, all the champions had skins. And so if we're looking at something like Ashe Katarina, Ashe doesn't have one and Sejuani doesn't have one, so I guess we can't just level up everything. But that Jinx Draven mixture right in the middle, just completely loaded up. I love it. Love it. Nobody wants to get skins for something like Maokai, right? It's fucking boring. Nobody wants to deal with Maokai. And all right, man, look at that. I like the idea of whatever Karma Lee Sin is. I'm not entirely certain what that's going to be, but I think I like what this guy's bringing to the table. I like what he's bringing to the party. And so I do want to get this Sejuani Fizz deck in. This is one of these deals to where I think we just have to ban Freylord if that's what we actually want to bring. And oh, look at that. He says, no, thank you, sir. Get that nonsense out of here. And so I think this should be a reasonable spot for Ashe Katarina. Both Vi and Swain aren't super excited to be dealing with a bunch of flash freezes. So I think we can probably tackle the Pirates or the mid-rangey Swain, whatever that's going to be, with the likes of our Ashe. So let's hang onto the Icevale Archer. I want like another unit that can come down and just like hang out, right? That's why we included this Ruthless Raider in the deck. This is what we were looking at with the 2/3 Iceborn Shaman. Is that what he would have been called in the previous set? I don't remember. The guy gives bonuses when you play spells. It's just a matter of you want to get value out of Icevale Archer, but don't really want to have to just slam it down early. And not the hugest fan of Avarosian Sentries in this format, just so the Ruthless Raider does quite a bit of work.
This land is ours.
Not so much here against the Shell Shocker, but I'm still a fan of him. Okay, not bad. Calling Strike is always kind of weird to me out of these Swain decks, since it doesn't do anything to actually level up your Swain. But he's on board. It's okay.
The world awaits. Forward.
Alright, we got to start doing something here now, though. We'll get the Icevale Archer down, that's fine. I'm okay to shatter out this Legion Drummer. I was kind of hoping that we would have been able to spike a Misfortune this turn, but not quite the case. And interesting. Interesting, and no combat trick? Huh. Well, I guess we got to save on a shatter. Sure. So now the slightly awkward thing here is we want to add Ashe to the board, but she may not be able to attack this turn, right? I don't want to trade Ashe for just a random 3/3. It's easy for opponent to just add another one to the board. We don't have that that flash freeze mana on the ready to help protect her. So I think we just pass. It's like I want to at least get like some attack in. Right, if opponent has a Make It Rain to clear out all of our board, that's going to be pretty painful, but we'll just take the 2-for-1 here and be okay with it. It does. I ain't worried about that Swain now. We'll get the big boy on board. Say, what up, I'm here to block. So if he has another Ravenous Flock to take down the Hearthguard, it's not the end of the world, right? He's gonna have to do quite a bit of work to take him down. He's pretty all in at this point now, right? He's got 1 card in hand and a 4-attack Shell Shocker. Like that's not too scary at this point. We can stop a Swain for quite a few turns. The Leviathan would be problematic, but Swain not as much. Here, just going to go for the double card draw. We got the Glory Seeker and the Assessor. If we can get a hook with the Assessor this turn, that would be great. Otherwise, I'm happy enough to come in and just trade out with all of his units. All right, we got a million cards in hand. Trades are not what he wants to be making at this point. Phew. Perfect. All right, we should be pretty good now. Warning shot. He needs to be dropping it into the draw 2 plunder. Whatever that thing is called, decimate. Aight. Swinging for the fences. Not going to be able to hit for 20 right away. We'll see. I'm going to go ahead and play the Icevale Archer. If we draw a second Ancient Yeti next turn, we want to be able to play it. And so not really worried about getting that little bit of flash freeze value here. Brittle Steel. All right, well. The double up. Ew. Okay. I guess we're at 1. I mean, you gotta like the spot that we're in. We got him pretty close to lethal. He has to be picking up just those direct burn spells. Things like Nox and Fervor just don't work anymore. And so let's go with the Calling Strike. We can't let Misfortune attack here. I was thinking if we wanted to come in and use the Shatter, it probably doesn't really matter, but can't let her attack. Katarina. That's like, that's tough. I guess like the only way he should be interacting with us here would be like a double up. But I don't want to give him that opportunity to play Decimate. It's like the things can only go downhill. The things that would be able to stop this attack from winning the game would also be something that would just kill us in the face of Katarina. And so, all right, GG. Hope y'all got to squeeze them butt cheeks a little bit in that game. You got to clinch it just a little bit when you're at 1 against the deck playing warning shots and stuff. So we made it out though. We got a victory. GG. And now the triple aggro lineup. And so when we're facing down something like this, I typically just lean towards just banning out the Jinx Draven. I still think it's probably the premier aggro deck of the format, and now we can just go back to Ashe Katarina. It's a little bit of a bummer to play these aggro decks twice in a row and not have access to House Spider in your deck, but kind of is what it is. If we are just playing against a bunch of Twisted Fate, Make It Rain decks, and you would be like, oh, this dude with tough is actually looking pretty strong here right now. But reasonable enough start. Got some dudes to throw down in the early game. Katarina's ready to party as well. All right.
Nothing like the stink of blood and sweat.
So us playing Gangplank, we're probably going to have to come in and try and just prevent as much damage as we can here. Can't do anything about the Narwhal. That's a little awkward. We can try and kill it next turn with Katarina, but wasn't really the ideal angle here. I want to prevent all the damage that we can against this deck to keep his Gangplank from leveling up. That's interesting with the Wolf. I was just planning on playing Katarina since she gets the free hook into the Narwhal. But if opponent has something like a Nox and Fervor, I don't really want to be losing our Katarina here. I think we can just drop the Wolf, make sure that we do get that Blade's Edge value out of Cat. Okay, that could have gone worse. Got our big AoE spell now as well. All right, do we have to just give up on the Katarina at this point? Like, I don't think so. We're only going to take 2 damage from Twisted Fate. That's not that big of a deal. Not that big of a deal. Let's get everybody out here and ready for combat. The decision here was like, do we want to play a Shatter this turn, right? And I'm not like excited about it. I think I'm okay with just doing this. If we just send in Katarina, is that enough? So he either just takes 3 or he blocks with the Legion Grenadier. We leave Steve on the board. I think that's okay. Sucks to kind of leave the Glory Seeker back, but it's not a very high quality collection of units opponent has. Now, depending on what he does, if he doesn't open on us, we can just boom him with the Reckoning. Or even if he plays like Gangplank, that's probably pretty safe, right? He plays Gangplank and we just shatter him. You can't flip him in the middle of combat here, right? He's too far away. And we just bring in the shatter, and then we can reckon.
All or nothing.
Yeah, no, seems reasonable. It feels like we're still in a bit of a bind here, but it's definitely nice to clear that stuff out. Alright, who's our big boosted unit going to be? Something sweet. Alright, that's probably about as sweet as it's going to get. I was thinking in my head, it's like, we're just going to draw Brittle Steel here, but we managed to get out of it. Alright, you gotta take the zap down. I don't really want to take any more damage here if we don't have to, but okay. Okay. It's fine. Like, we shouldn't have to worry about his attacks next turn. We got the harsh winds. The kind of downside to where we're at now is we don't have a way to get a lethal without an Ash or a Katarina, so we may not actually be able to get a kill on our next attack. Oh shit. That's never good. Here comes the Decimate, I guess. Couldn't do anything about that. Alright, GG. Well, we didn't get, like, too frivolous with our life total there in the middle, but we definitely made some blocks to where we took a couple of extra points of damage. And so we definitely didn't go all in that game with preventing every damage that we could. But GG, though. Let's see if it cues us right back into that mirror match. Does not. And so, is this going to be the opportunity for our Gangplank Fizz? Let's do it. Let's go for it. Let's ban out the no champion deck. This is usually... Man, everybody says no. Everyone says no thank you to Fizz. That's bonkers, right? That's bonkers. Maybe they just don't know what's in it, and so they don't want to deal with it, but... Nonetheless, we'll take this as an opportunity to get our Vi deck onto the board. See what we can do from here. And so not the greatest of starts. Let's hang on to the Draven's Biggest Fan just to make sure we have that turn 3 Draven and then look for something better with this other stuff. You could see an argument for like hanging on to Jury Rig, but I'd like to just find a good 2-drop or something. And then of course we just draw our only copy of Draven with both of the Biggest Fans in hand. That's the way life goes. Bit of a bummer there. Alright, House Spider was a nice addition, though. This thing's so big. Got Omen Hawked. Man, very awkward draw. So that's what happens, though, when you diddle around with some of the numbers and mess with the consistency of Jinx Draven. You'll run into some weird stuff like this on occasion. It's gonna have like a Brittle Steel as well, just go for the full annoying. Interesting. Shouldn't be any like real punishes for this. If he has a Elixir of Iron, that's okay, I guess. It's kind of an odd one to see, but sure. Otherwise, we're okay. So weird. It's got like the Omen Hawk kind of mid-gamey value stuff that you typically see out of that you typically see out of like a more control-y style deck, but then it also just had the Mist Wraiths in it. So strange.
In Avarosa's name,
Alright, so no reason to get like super involved with this board. I still want to pop off with this Vi and these mites, and there's not a lot of reason to just give up and throw that away. We could have put a mite on our 1/1 and thrown it in front of Elise or something, but I think we have a few turns before we have to worry too much about that. Okay, that would have been a disaster with the Vile Feast coming in, so. All right, dude, here comes the punchline.
Can see the Dabastian border from here.
So a little scary here. I don't want to get over involved with this Vi, but we're not going to be able to get lethals this turn. So let's just send in this big overwhelm hit. He can't hit us with a vengeance in this space. He could have some kind of flash freeze or something, but we're certainly getting close to the lethal now. So I think my question is like, does a deck like this ever play Atrocity? I don't think it does. But we should at least be kind of safe here. We'll prevent as much damage as we can with the Vi. And then if we need to get excited down one of these smaller units, we have an option there. Okay. Vi number 2, ready with the Vault Breaker. He's digging. Alright, well, I mean, we have the Might in hand to give something Overwhelm, but if he's able to pick up a Harsh Winds or a Vengeance or something, that could be problematic. I think we have to put the Might onto the Sump Dredger, and then just try and count on that 5 damage from Vi. Gives us a chance to just pick up a burn spell for the win, like we got with the Nox and Fervor here. But throwing this down now is at least a lethal, right? He has to respond to what we're doing. If he Harsh Winds at this point, then we can still do stuff like, say he Harsh Winds us right now, then we can still, say, discard a Spinning Axe onto Vi so she gets to deal the 5 damage strike. So he comes in with Vengeance, only has 1 mana left. So let's start doing stuff. Let's Nox and Fervor the face, and then we can drop in a Spinning Axe. He's only going to have 1 mana left after this. So if he has a Brittle Steel, we're dead. If he has an Elixir of Iron, then we can still get excited out of this. Cool. Looks like we got there. Awkward cards being enough at the end. Nice work, deck. Glad to see that we got to showcase some of that real Vi power, though. That's why Vi shows up in these decks, right? We got that first hit in with the Overwhelm, dealt 9 damage, and the second one was threatening 5 with a good hook. A lot of power and utility that come out of Vi. She's very strong. All right, the battles continue. Exciting stuff. Let's see if we get in with Jinx or get in with Sejuani this game. Oh man, he's got 2 Freylord decks, so it's got to make it a little bit more challenging to do. I really don't want to play against any of this stuff with with the Fizz Sejuani. That's just going to be too problematic. I think I'm just going to come in and ban out the Gangplank deck. I think that's probably just the strongest one that he has. And so it's like now that we're in this spot, I just don't think either like the Braum deck should kind of be like capable of working, but I just worry too much about what's actually going to turn up there. Let's see what he brings. He brings the Braum. Wasn't expecting it. People like these cards for some reason, but I assure you they tend to be garbage. And Reasonable enough start here. As we're up against Braum, the zero attack powerhouse, I feel pretty good about hanging on to Culling Strike. If we get to take down the champion early, that's always kind of nice. And then we'll just have to see if we can't find something to use with Ashe along the way. So far, so good, right? We just play our our Glory Seeker and try and challenge down their zero power unit. Nothing wrong with that. Looks like he's just giving it up. Nice. All right, things are progressing well.
We'll take what we need to survive.
Unfortunately, can't hit a Stefan with the Brittle Steel, but maybe on the next turn we'll be able to hit him with Ashe and then Brittle Steel a second unit. I think we're still bringing in Ashe. We could have like pivoted a little bit, right? Since we picked up the Ruthless Raider, then we could have used the mana to Flash Freeze, but it's tough for him here, right? Like he could add Braum, which just gets murdered by the Rhymefang Wolf, or he's in a spot to get Brittle Steeled, which he landed on the Brittle Steel.
Swiftly now, for glory. You are mine.
Let's switch these the other way,
Face me.
like this. If he has an Elixir of Iron, we can still take down the Curator if we attack with the 5 power, and then if he puts it on the small guy, then he still kills it because he has 0. Good stuff. Just getting straight murdered by by all the Ashe related shenanigans.
I found my family, my bloodkin. The bloodier the better.
It's like you have to stop and ask yourself the question if you want to kind of like leave these units on the board so we can try and flip our Ashe next turn. I mean, probably don't need to, but we'll leave it here and just see what happens. So it's like if we draw a unit, we could play the unit and then try and go for some Flash Freeze plays, but it's not going to be an option.
Stand together.
Man, the thing I didn't stop to see though is we probably could have just gone for the Culling Strike and then see if we can just lethal this turn, right? We had the 15 on the board. If you had an empty board, we could have gone for it. A little awkward. I think we'll probably be in decent shape. I don't think we're going to lose this game anytime soon, but definitely a bit of a slip up there.
Rom, I thought he was just a storage.
LOL. At least we got our Calling Strike right. Now, the nasty thing I guess we could have looked to do was, say, just Flash Freeze Vladimir and then play the Reckoning. Kills off some of our own units, so I didn't really want to go for it, but this deck from opponent has not lined up well against anything that we're doing. So which way did he go? The Calling Strike's still going to kill Braum. Take Heart still kills him. Okay. I've made that mistake dozens of times. Oh, we can't block Vladimir because he's got Fearsome. Sad day. I was ready to just slam the wolf right in front of him. That's too bad. Guess we'll just have to make a regular block. I guess, if life's gonna be that hard. Vladimir gets to survive the day. It's why the vampires make it so far, right? It's why the vampires make it so far. Alright, we should be good now, though. Do we want to add a unit just in case? Well, he has to have quite a bit. He's going to have a Harsh Winds and another card to stop us here. Good stuff. All right, GG.
The war is over. Now we rebuild.
All right, we got to go for it. If we get the opportunity in this next one, regardless of what we're up against, I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to bring it. I'm going to come in with the fizz. And so up against this stuff, if that's going to be the idea, like I think we want to ban out the big aggro deck against the stuff that just gives us time. And so, all right, we're bringing it. And say I worry a little bit about seeing Ash, right? If we have to run the Fizz deck into Ash, that certainly kind of implies that there might be some flash freezes, and you don't really want to be going for a Battle Fury Fizz into the flash freeze deck. But we got to get this thing out here, man. We got to get a game in with it. F. F. All right. Let's see though. Maybe Sejuani can carry us in our time of need. Play something shitty so I can kill it with parlay. I guess that counts. It gets a little bit of something, a little bit of value out of the parlay. Don't have to just send it directly to face. Man, why couldn't we be up against the PNZ Nautilus deck? That's the one I wanted to take this thing up against.
Lucky you. I'm the last thing you'll see. Open wide.
No Vile Feast. I'd appreciate it. Get this Sejuani leveled up. F. Fine. So I'm not going to play the parlay. Well, maybe we should just go ahead and play the parlay this turn. I don't know. It's like we don't have a ton of draws next turn that let us keep like pushing up. And now it's like if we draw, say, a Black Market Merchant, we're not going to be able to activate it. And so not the hugest fan of that. Maybe we should have just let that one roll.
Hey there. Don't mind the knife.
See, there's a Make It Rain. Would have done a bit of the same thing. All right, getting close though. Sejuani's up to 3.
All the world on one arrow.
Now we can bring in the Wave Riders. Shit's about to get real with these. We missed face. It's not the end of the world, but I was really wanting to hit face.
Got me.
All right, but our big elusives can do our thing. These actually made their way into modern constructed here recently. I think it was What Am I that was really pushing for playing the slippery Wave Riders and Pirates. Back in the day when you could have the likes of the good Riptide sermons, the Wave Riders were making an appearance, but hasn't seen too much in recent memory.
There it is.
Born for conquest.
Right, friends. Let's see what he's got. Harsh Winds. Vengeance. Okay. I mean, I think we're still in a reasonable spot. He's not close to killing us with this Ash. We can be very defensive with the Harsh Winds. And 2 turns of Swiftly Wave Riders would be enough to try and get the lethal. So, might have something going for us.
Swiftly now.
So do we just take this 8 and count on our next turn to be good enough? I think so. If he's going to be like, LOL, here's an atrocity, then I guess you got us. But I think this is okay.
Winter is the Freljord's true ruler.
All right, that annoying thing.
Ice runs in our veins. Out before they know they're bleeding.
A little scared here, a little scared. These flash freezes are why I was ultimately worried about bringing this deck. We haven't popped off with the Battle Furies just yet, but that's the ultimate concern. Is We'll try to Battle Fury, and then he's going to have a Flash Freeze. Yeah, Zap and Warning Shot. Man, I was hoping if we picked that Battle Freeze here, or Battle Fury here, there was like a real shot that we had of dealing some serious damage, but not quite.
The time is right. Strike now. Avarosa, guide me.
All right, the old Crystal Arrow is going to be coming out its next turn. We can Flash Freeze 3 units, so again, a decent chance that we're not going to get lethaled. Just I worry about what we're going to have for the follow-up turn. We're hurting. Nowhere near dealing 14 damage. Let's wait on him to play the Crystal Arrow, then we can play the Coral Creatures after. If we can trade the Coral Creatures for his Marksman, it's not terrible.
A gift from Avarosa.
No, he's not going to be able to do that, right? He's still going to get the Ash hit. Shatter, though? Shatter is our created card to kill his Ash post-combat. I don't hate it. I don't hate it, man. Is that the one that we even want to hit, though? Would we rather kill off the Rhymetusk Shaman so that we can preserve our elusive damage? Right, because we're not going to win the game on the next turn, right? Or we're not going to get another attack after this. We have to win right now. So if we hit for 8, 9, 10, the Warning Shot gives us a bit of a chance. And then we could pick up, I don't know, Mind Meld maybe. Battle Fury, you know, one of the good ones. But we're just at like too low of health. If you want to say, well, you can probably block on the next attack if you kill Ash, we still have to worry about the Alpha Wild Claw. So not entirely safe. So much heal. Come on, dude. Lame-o. Just another lame-o. The Withering Whale. Let's see, healed like 8 this game. And another Withering Whale. Fine, dude. We knew that was going to be bad, but... what a crappy way to go. People, man. People. Alright, next battle. So what do we got here? This looks like a prime opportunity to try and play Fizz again. And so what do we want to get rid of? Let's get rid of the Yasuo. Kind of the same deal as to where I worry about the Flash Freezes from the previous guy. Here, if we want to run into the same problem as to where he can hit our big Battle Fury unit with a stun, and then also have to worry about him... have to worry about him hitting a Mind Meld with Deny. So we'll switch from Fizz. I was ready to play Fizz and just open. We can play around Vile Feast with Fizz and then Make It Rain in hand, but as it stands now, the Cutthroat's much safer. You know, if we played Fizz and then opponent played a Dreg Dredgers, we would be hurting a little bit, but now we got the fearsome girl, I guess, to punch in the damage. All right, Jettison is done. I usually don't recommend that, right? Not playing Jettison's fine. I play Jettison on the deep decks, but there's no reason to play it on the first turn, right? What if you want that mana on this turn now? Like, what did you gain by playing the Jettison that early that you didn't make up for here? And it's usually just not worthwhile to see it come down like that. Like, he could look at his hand right now and it's like, oh, I'll play the Jettison now and be in the exact same spot. Or he could play it on the next turn and have a 3 bank off of this turn. Just usually is a little preemptive. All right, he's thinking hard on that hand, though. Thorny Toad coming in. I can be all right with that. It's like, I guess we'll block. We probably want this guy to die like never, but if he really wants to kill it off, they probably have Glimpse Beyonds in their deck. We'll toss a little block out in front of him. I don't suspect we're going to be dealing any ground-based combat damage here, so it's probably fine. Ooh, there's the Mind Meld. There's the good stuff. Let's go ahead and drop our other creatures on the board, though. Maybe we do find ourselves attacking with everyone. Okay, he's tapped out of mana now, so we don't have to worry nearly as much. I'm going to be dropping this Parlay into the Jal Hunters. Then I'm not sure. Some math nerd would have to let me know if these attacks into the Thorny Toad are okay. Like, we do at least get a point of damage in this way, and if we never kill off the Toad, then he doesn't get to heal through it. So, I think that's fine. I think it's okay. Alright, where we at? Got 6 spells for old Fizz. Maokai coming in. We've only played one other spell this game? God, this card's so dumb. Okay. We'll just take the bank, I guess. We could have dropped in a Make It Rain there, but it doesn't really add a lot.
Safety will cost you.
Oh my gosh. We missed. I guess we are playing a ton of Freylord in here, but I was not counting on missing. But we will be getting this dum-dum out of here. Probably worthwhile to just go ahead and flash freeze it as well.
Open wide, sugar.
That is, well, maybe not. We don't get a lot out of this. I definitely want the Abyssal Eye to be dead, but I don't think it adds a lot in terms of like whether or not we have this Yordle Grifter on the board. He's not doing anything this game. I guess it does. Well, no, it doesn't. It doesn't matter here either. So yeah, that was probably a bit meh. But we can add in the Wave Rider. He's most certainly going to come in and hook Fizz this round. But we can try and make it rain out of it. I don't think we really want to. If you take a peek at our stats real quick, we got 4, 5 plus Battle Fury. That gets us up to 13. And so if we want to Battle Fury next turn, we have to bank up this mana. All right, y'all ready for this? Are you ready to bring it? Are we running into vengeances? Is that what's about to happen? If there's no vengeance, we're going to be in good shape.
I'll be quick.
Bring in that emote real quick. Get that laser kitty going. This is going to die. This Cutthroat's not going to make it. But, oh, he plays Salvage. Take that back. Take that back. Maybe we do make it. Oh, that's the stuff right there. Just accept the damage. Bring it upon your body. Oh, that's what it's about. That's what it's about. But see, this is what I'm kind of talking about in terms of either having a deck like this or having a deck like Lee Sin, as to where if you get to take it up against deep, you do have some opportunities to just get that big OTK, right? The deep deck is really out here just trying to grind you down. And so they'll gain, like 6 or 7 or 8 health. They'll get a trade early, sure. They'll Vile Feast down your early play, whatever. And then they're like, oh, here's a bunch of 7/7s, right? You can't attack through these. And if you say, I don't really care about that, I'm just going to deal 20 to you in the same turn, then it plays around what their strategy is trying to pull off. And so the spot I'm trying to think of is if we get to play against both Swain and Deep. And if that gets us the spot we want to be in. So, same opponent, same deal. We'll ban out Yasuo. He says, "No, thank you, Sejuani. I don't want any of that. I don't want any of that mess today." And let's bring in Jinx Draven. I assume that we're going to play against Deep again, and I don't want to play Ashe against Deep. the matchup there is not spectacular. You can still look to get like OTKs against them with Ash, but if you don't draw Ash, then you're going to be in a world of hurt. So here, we'll keep the biggest fan so we can try and drop Draven on the 3rd turn, and then Mulligan for 2 drops. You can pivot. You can play the biggest fan on turn 2 if you want. We'll just come in and try and trade. I don't want to Mystic Shot this Dredgers. That's tough. Like, not too much hate on Speed Ace, but I feel like he's probably not the world's most effective deep player. I'm curious if we shouldn't have played the rear guard with the intent to Mystic Shot that guy, because we're not like that attack isn't particularly good, right? And so we technically losing out on the better unit now, and so. I'm curious if we shouldn't have led with the rear guard with the intent to Mystic Shot that small play. Because now if he plays something like a Thorny Toad, we would still have a decent attack with the rear guard. But if he just no attacked there and then had the Toad this turn, he could put the Toad in front of our small play and then kill the rear guard with the 2/1. All right, though. Rear guard in. Get them battles. Is this like a post-combat Vile Feast, so you get to drain the point of health? Don't do that either. this is you take more damage that way. If you just ignore the drain, hit the rear guard, and then block with the other Spiderling. Alright, though, we're running into my problem with this deck. The reason I don't like to play a ton of Jinx Draven is that, you know, our hand is fairly lacking at this point. We don't have a lot going on, and we need some card draw. We need a big play, and so like Draven's fine to come down next turn, but these 2 Flame Chompers are not looking that hot when we don't have Arena Battlecasters and we don't have Visions. We have them. They're just in our deck somewhere. we got it somewhere. So I think Draven's fine. I can see an argument to play a House Spider if opponent's going to have like a Grasp of the Undying here, but if he doesn't have it, then we should be in a pretty safe spot.
Okay, ready.
Right, Sea Monster down. Only getting in for 3. But, you know, we're getting close to having this full board. If we pick up a Vision or a Battlecaster and we get to hit for big, feel a little bit better about this. It's like, as you're playing against deep, it's still kind of scary, even in these spots where it feels like you're ahead. I'm worried a little bit about what's happening. But if he's on like a curve play now, if he's just going to be dropping an Abyssal Eye this round, then we feel pretty decent about it. Even if he's just dropping another 4/4 and we get to hook it out of combat with the Flame Chompers and hit for 10, that's pretty close to the lethal. Nope. Let's see if he high rolls it. He did. He did manage to hit the Beast below. That was the card that came out of the left of his hand. We're still okay though. To get excited. Alright, well I'm going to boost the Draven. A lot of times in these spots you want to just be boosting your weakest unit. Like the probable ideal unit to boost here would be the House Spider. Since it doesn't die to Vile Feast, it doesn't die to Withering Wail, and then it's the worst unit that we have on the board. But I'm just going to go for the Draven flip. It seems like the opposing draw is not very strong. And so, if we get the flipped Draven, there's a lot of potential for him to just get kills next turn. But this one's done. Getting a little more of that laser beam. Top-notch emote play right there. Learn from the master. Hey, GG. Does that get us into the final battle? Or are we in the pre-final battle? The pre. One short. We haven't made our whole way there. Whew. See how things go. See what turns up. Don't think we'll be playing that guy again. We did just beat him twice in a row. I think that unfortunately ends your day in the tourney land, but we'll see. Maybe not. Play this guy earlier? No. It's just you see these weird like Freylord decks turn up, and I'm never really certain if we played against it or not. And so with this, I mean, I think we can just ban out this Freylord deck in the middle. That has the elements that I'm most afraid of. And then if he doesn't, I was like, I don't think we can play the. We'll play Ash. Like I don't want to play the Fizz deck against something that has like concussive palms, like the Karma deck to the left, or something that has flash freezes, like the Freylord Fiora to the right. All right. Oh, do we want to hang on to Katarina here? It's a little scary having these like Katarina only openers against a deck that has Mystic Shots in it. If we play Katarina on 3 and she gets Mystic Shot, we're going to be in a real bind because our early game sucks so much here. I think we'll get rid of her. If we were on the odd attacks, it might make a little bit more sense, but being on the evens and not being able to attack until turn 4 is a little scary. Boros. We got elusives coming at us? Not what I was expecting. Okay. Perfect draw with the Ruthless Raider, though. We got that 1 mana banked up so we can Blade's Edge something next turn and then just keep playing on curve. I dig it.
Oh, you're in for it.
Oh, I'll take any combat trick here. Alright. Opponent says, no thank you. My mind has been changed. Are we ever just going to get a monster Death Lotus out of this? That's what life's about, isn't it? See opponent with this just board massive full of 1-drops and you just drop a Death Lotus. Not opposed to that.
Nothing like the great outdoors.
Well. We'll get that scary little Yordle out of here. No, thank you. Now, do we ever want to trade out our Katarina? I mean, I don't think so. We have a second one in hand, but like this is one of these spots where you have to stop and ask yourself, you know, if this game drags on, do I ever lose? And it's like, probably not. We have a large collection of value stuff just down here ready to happen. But this is the spot to where I was like, well, maybe it'll be okay. And that if he comes in and plays like Chump Wump now, right? We're still going to have really strong attacks. Ash is going to flash freeze the biggest unit. And his blocks just aren't going to be very good. Another oddity, we used to have to talk about this a lot in Expedition. Not so much anymore, as you don't see the Flash of Brilliance too often, but there's no reason to do that, right? You just played a Flash of Brilliance with 4 mana. You can never play the card that comes out of it. Like, you can make some kind of argument as to like, well, Bust, you know, I have additional information now. That information doesn't matter in the middle of this combat, but you did just kind of indicate that you're not playing a unit and you're probably not doing anything else the rest of the turn. So, another one of those things I recommend you don't do. Learn from your jettisons, learn from your Flash of Brilliances. That's a spicy draw, though. I was looking to just open with the Hearthguard and then play Katarina to get the second attack, but this ties into our mana perfect here now.
Stand together.
Okay. Uh-oh, more stuff. Sure. Where you at, Katarina?
Let the bloodshed begin.
So we probably just hold off at this point, right? There's no reason to trade out this Hearthguard when we have a bunch of flash freezes in hand. Oh, did not expect that block, though. Works for me. All right, we'll power on then. just keep it coming.
No going back.
All right, block.
Stand and defend.
We should be pretty safe here. We don't have to worry about things like Twin Disciplines killing our units. Get the re-attack now. I dig it. All right, bring that damage in. Now it is kind of a real question next turn if we want to try and attack with Katarina twice, or if we want to start to kind of bank up some of the mana. So we say add the Hearthguard to the board. I'm leaning towards either adding in the Hearthguard and then now having access to the Glory Seeker. It's just like are we going to lethal this turn is the question. Or if he has some kind of interactive element, can we beat it? And I think this is the spot where we should probably just kind of build up some board. And so if we can drop in the Hearthguard and then he taps out for, I don't know, Yone? Lee Sin is pretty close to that same area. We might be able to just get a kill with the Glory Seeker now. But this leaves us in a better spot if we need the mana to kind of interact with what they're doing, right? If he's going to... I guess the downside to would be if he had like a Mina to send all the units back to our hand, but we're still fairly safe against Mina with all the Frostbites. But cool. Get ourselves into that final battle. See if we can't get a little fizz out here. That's the way. That's the way to take down the victories. You got to get fizz on the board. A little bit of Battle Fury. I don't know how we feel about Battle Fury. It's so good. It's the same guy? Yeah. So, okay. We'll take on the same deal here. We'll ban out the Freylord deck. If he's going to run it back with the Lee Sin, we could technically take in Fizz, but it's like, I'm curious if he's like, well, I'm going to just, I'm going to ban out the deck that just beat me. It says no thank you. See if he changes his decks up. I'm more than happy to take the Flash Freeze deck up against Fiora. What do we got? A little bit of Omen Hawk here. I'm okay to hang on to Shatter. It kills Fiora. So if we pick up another Flash Freeze to go along with these cards, then we can have a decent way to take her down. Not the strongest opener after that, though. And then here, more than happy to make the trade. If we have to take a couple of turns of just passing back and forth, that's fine. The Omen Hawk dies to Fiora, though. Gives him a very easy target for building up the OTK. So making that trade feels good.
New recruit reporting in.
It's a big old Glory Seeker. I don't want to be trying to take down a Cythria with it, though. Probably should have just banked the mana this turn and tried to play it next turn, but if we pick up a good unit now, we'll be singing a different tune. Okay, seems positive. Now we're feeling good. Okay.
A real battle.
So let's play Ash. That's gonna take all of our mana for the turn, and then we can be back in this spot to where we have Rhinefang Wolves and Ashes, and we're ready to just go after anything. Perfect draw on the Iceveil Archer as well. All right, let's see what you got, friend. This is why you typically don't want to take Fiora up against the Ashe deck. It's just so hard. Like, what you're going to find here is we're going to have the flash freeze. Now, he either has to kind of like preemptively riposte or worry about her dying in the middle of combat to our Rhinefang Wolf. And so I think this is all good. We want to put Fiora into the Rhinefang Wolf hook since it's going to... if his play is like Prismatic Barrier, that's not enough to get around the Rhinefang. He needs to have positive combat tricks here. I do love me a Battle Fury, my dude, but this is not the time for it. I do like what you're about, though. That's some good stuff right there. All right, and pretty commanding board now. This will be the spot where you got to be like, oh man, I hope I don't just get killed by a get killed by a judgment. I think we should be pretty safe. Looks like we're going to be able to take this down on an open next turn, but
Brighten up their day.
that's what would worry me about this spot. He's going to have the 8 mana as well, but his Lux is unfortunately going to be frostbitten before the combat happens. Let's go ahead and hook. If he has a trick, right, we can't just attack here. Ash is going to flip. This thing will be frostbitten, so he can't block. If he has a riposte in hand, then he can put Lux in front of our biggest attacker. And so this at least, kind of guarantees an extra 3 damage if we hook her in front of the Rhinefang Wolf. There we go. GG. Nice little victory. Nice little, not a prime glory. It wasn't our first one of the week, but glory, give us a tick up on the glory total, if you will. And, not a bad set of decks. And so we can pull them up again real quick, talk about it for a hot minute. And so Ashe Katarina, again, this is a very straightforward deck. I feel like it fits right in that space of decks I'm looking for that are pretty decent against the majority of the field. Because we were pretty happy to take this up against everything today. You can make an argument that, if you want to tune it towards things like Jinx Draven, then you do want those House Spiders in here. But I was pretty happy with everything here. I don't think we'd end up wanting Reckoning. It's not bad as a one-of, but it felt like the card that was kind of the weakest on the day. And otherwise, pretty happy with everything else we had going on here between the Ancient Yetis that you don't see too often. We're not playing... the Avarosian Trapper, the Yeti generator, because I just don't like it. The Yeti draws just too bad too often. And I'm pretty happy with everything else happening out of this one. And so, definitely good stuff there coming out of Ashe Katarina. Jinx Draven, again, this was just kind of a feeler to see if we can't get Vi up and running in the deck. There's lots of things about this one that I don't like. I don't like playing things like Draven's Biggest Fan. We could probably just cut that and hope to naturally draw Draven, but the discard cards are kind of weak at this point in the era of the game. And so if you don't have Draven to really kind of fuel this strategy, the games to where you draw Draven are just so much different than the games that you don't draw him. And so having access to him is quite important here. I think the probable, realistic way to go about this is probably 2 Draven, 3 Jinx, 1 Vi, and then 0 copies of Draven's Biggest Fan. And that lets you just play some higher quality cards in the early game, so you don't have to worry about that as much. But I did want to get this this combo in here of playing these high value attackers between Jinx and Vi, having access to Might to punch in those big damages, and we got to kind of showcase that a little bit here with the Vi. It's just I really can't advocate for playing a deck that has Jury Rig in it. The card's just so bad. And I get that it's it's good in those draws to where you discard it on the first turn and then you have a Battlecaster and then a Vision on turn 3 with your Draven or something, but it's just so bad so often that I really don't like playing cards like this. And last but not least, we had our cool one. We had our Sejuani Fizz. We didn't get to play Bind Meld, but we did get that nice Wave Rider-based Battle Fury kill in here, the thing that we were looking to do. And then again, this is the one that kind of interests me, right? If we want to, say, play a deck like Ashe Katarina, and then something else that's good against the field like Deep or like a Twisted Fate Swain, and then have something like this as just our last remaining deck. We don't intend to play it too frequently, but if the opponent comes at us with some kind of weird lineup to where they're not playing Freylord and they're not particularly interactive, and then we just get to sweep this thing in and say like, LOL, here's our 80-20 matchup. I'm pretty excited to bring it to you. Then you have some real options there. And so, Sejuani Fizz is kind of one of those decks, and then the other one is the Lee Sin deck that we've been talking about. But that's the thing I'm kind of interested about in these best of 1-3 deck formats, is having 2 good decks and then just one super polarized deck as a way to take advantage of unsuspecting opponents. But nonetheless, good stuff. I had fun with that. I hope you did too, because that's going to do it for us today. And so I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. So this is Bust and me. Thank you for being here.